Hello, everyone. It's me, Allison. The show is about to start, but just real fast, a quick reminder. I want to tell you guys, if you are doing some shopping, perhaps some Black Friday shopping, holiday shopping, etc.
Like Christmas type shopping?
Christmas type, any sort of shopping at all. I have put together some lists on Amazon.
Lists with things
stuff
on them?
Daniel, just pipe down for 1 second. Beauty stuff, makeup stuff, home stuff, kids stuff, podcast equipment, books I recommend, all of this stuff. And
Daniel's stuff?
Oh, yeah, Daniel's Corner, where I put stuff that I know that he likes. But Daniel has recently gotten way more involved, and he put together a special Christmas spectacular gift guide for you.
You guys will not even believe it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what's on there, but it's literally some things.
Lots of things. And a whole big caption explaining his process.
If you know someone who's exactly like me, they are going to love it.
And here's where you go to see all of this. Amazon.com/shop/Allison Rosen. Amazon.com/shop/Allison Rosen.
And we'll be adding to it.
It's nonstop, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the show.
Bye.
You guys, I lied. I said the show was starting right now, but I have one more quick announcement. I'm co-hosting a new podcast. It's brand new. It's called Upworthy Weekly. I'm co-hosting it with a guy named Todd Perry, who I'm having so much fun with, although he is wrong about so many things, especially Christmas music, but also other stuff. But anyway, Upworthy Weekly, we come out on Saturdays. Please give it a listen, subscribe. If you like what you're hearing, leave us a comment, a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps out the show so much, especially because we are brand new. As I've said, between 1 and 4 times right now, I've lost track. But anyway, please give it a listen. It's a lighthearted news podcast. We're taking a look at the most popular and engaging stories from the week before that ran on Upworthy. And it's just what your holidays need. And then when we're past the holidays, it's just what that part of the year needs. It's just exactly what you need. Please listen to it. Upworthy Weekly, new episodes every Saturday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her the good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison Rosen. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. I'm going to bring in my guest, whom I'm very excited to catch up with in a moment. But first, I have to tell you, you look up TMI in a dictionary, you find a picture of me. I was just on a Zoom call, not a podcast, but a Zoom call. And I felt a little something happening. And I thought, no, this can't be happening based on, look, if you have female parts, then you know what I mean when I talk about tampon math. I was doing some feminine product calculations in my head and I thought there's just no way I'm imagining it. And yet still I grabbed a wad of Kleenex and I very carefully, while on the Zoom call, stuffed it in my pants, thinking, I hope she can't tell what I'm doing. But anyway, that I had a full on, I just caught sight of my guest who is in the background. Anyway, I had a full-on feminine disaster mere moments ago. And thankfully, I know my guest well enough that I was able to say to her, I just had a feminine emergency. Can we push this a few minutes? So, sort of like when you're an adult and you fall down and you think, I feel like a child. Being as old as I am, having had my period for as long as I have, why is this happening? But I guess actually, as you get older, they don't tell you this. It starts happening more and more. So, look, you didn't need to know any of that, but I feel better having gotten it off my chest. And now, and by the way, Tony, again, still not here. So he can't push against just the complete too much informationization that's happening. I would like to welcome to the show She is a dog trainer. She is my friend. She is someone who fat shamed my dog until she lost the extra weight. And last time I took her to the vet said she's in ideal body condition. And that's all because this guest made me feel terrible about what she called loving her too much with food. You might remember her from the Animal Planet show Rescue Dog to Super Dog. Please put your hands together. I think a horseshoe just fell in her apartment. Please put your hands together for the one and only Laura London.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. I'd like to start by saying I'm really, it makes me, it wasn't a horseshoe. It's a puppy. And she's going to, I think, maybe join us later. I thought I took everything dangerous out of her pen, and clearly I didn't. But it's really nice to know that you and I are on the same cycle.
Okay.
So I would just like to say it's great. I kind of had the same thing today. Not as dramatic. I wasn't on a Zoom call, but yeah, I was doing the tampon math for sure.
Have you found that, and we are going to talk about dogs and we're going to catch up with you, but this is catching up with you. Have you found that as you're getting older, it's getting more unpredictable?
Well, I don't like unpredictability. I just threw a chew toy at the dog. So I am on a pill that is a 90-day pill pack. So I only have my period like every 3 months. But that has become unpredictable. And I don't want to like tie it again to the vaccine, because we've had some I've had conversations with my girlfriends about like how their periods haven't been the same since they got vaccinated. And so I don't want to freak anybody out, but that's for sure been the case. So mine are still unpredictable in the time that I'm supposed to have them. Like,
right.
They're way like somewhere randomly at the end of the week or something. But yeah, I don't know. It's a thing. It's getting older and stuff like that, I guess. I know I have some girlfriends who are having a horrible time and the whole menopause and perimenopause stuff, and I'm not there. And I don't want to go there because my girlfriends are going through some gross stuff. And I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Why is nobody in my family has talked about it? I had to call my sisters and it was like, when did mom go through it? And like nobody, it's like some weird secret that women don't talk about or something until you're in it. And then you're like, why isn't anybody talking about this?
That's why I think what I'm doing, which is grossing out most people and turning them off. Really, this is a service. Now, to bring it to dogs, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Our sweet Wendy, who's now 7.
Amazing. You
started working with us when she was just, I don't know, a few months old.
She was tiny. Yeah,
she was little.
Yeah.
And the advice we had received was let her go through one heat. That is what some dog people feel you should do, that you should spay and neuter them later, because then at least they get like one round of hormones. And I remember you're like, do it now, Allison, do it now, do it now, do it now. Why?
Well, I think I come from like, everybody's coming from like a different place.
Agenda, right?
So like, yeah, like vets are always like, hey, don't take your dog outside until they get all their shots. And it's like, as a trainer, you're like, that's the worst thing ever, because like the vet wants your dog not to get sick. Mm-hmm. I want your dog to have good behavior and be super socialized. So I'm going to say, please take your dog out between 8 and 16 weeks. It's a critical period that you have to socialize them. If you wait till after 16 weeks, you're like behind the 8 ball now, because that window's closed. So I just think, I had a dog. I had a whippet. Her name was Diva. She lived to be 16. She was a great dog. Aww. She was the dog I thought I was going to like get married and have kids with. I was like 20 when I got her. She died when I was 36, and I was like single and unmarried and no kids. And I was like, wow, it's amazing what you think when you're 20. But anyways, she was a great dog, but I didn't spay her like immediately. And I just remember her bleeding on everything I owned, and how just what a pain in the ass that was for me. It put me out. Truly, it put me out. And she didn't need it because she wasn't going to have babies, and she still lived to be 16, and she had no cancers, and she was the healthiest dog I've ever had. But I don't attribute that to her not being like spayed earlier. That's just what she was. Certainly with male dogs, you've got that testosterone machine like cranking, crank. And at like 9 months, I like to get boys neutered before 9 months because 9 months they have like this dump where they have like 10 times the testosterone of an adult male.
Oh, wow. A little teenager.
Right, that's fun. Total. That's super fun, especially if it's like a big dog who's like just biting and being a pain in the ass and like just making your life hard. And it's like a 50-pound dog or more. So, I like tried like 6 months is like my sweet spot. And the other thing is like, there's no like one hard and fast rule. There's not one agreement. We all can't agree and say, hey, doctors aren't saying here, we did all these studies and it's proven that it lowers this and it raises this and it does this and it's good for their hips and they don't have cancer and blah, blah, blah. Because then there's another study that like contradicts all of that.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of land. And as a trainer and like behaviors may jam. So like I land on the behavior part of it. So I'm like, okay, well, we just want to not have that be in the way. So,
right.
So that's why I said no.
I was looking at, I was watching other people have this debate about Labradors on TikTok or something. It's been a fun pandemic, Laura London. I've been in all corners of everything. But anyway, they were having this debate on TikTok. And someone was saying if you let them, keep their parts and, if you delay spaying and neutering, then it lowers the chances of XYZ cancers. And then someone's like, yes, but if you neuter them younger, it lowers, or neuter and spay them younger, it lowers the chance. This is to your point. It lowers the chances of these other cancers. So it really is kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
The only one that I can speak of truly is if you take off their balls, they have 0 chance of getting testicular cancer.
Yes.
It completely wipes that out. You can't do it. And then, in Los Angeles, where you are, it's like a mandatory spay neuter state.
Right.
So they say it's mandatory that you have to do it, but we're not going to offer it for free. So if you're poor, sorry, we're just going to take your dog and charge you a bunch of fees. But everybody else, get it done. I don't think that the overpopulation problem is necessarily people who aren't getting their dogs. It sounds weird, right? Because I'm going to say, I don't think it's people who are keeping their dogs intact that are causing the problem. Because most of the people I know who have intact dogs, they've never been out of the yard. They've never fathered other puppies. Like they're great dogs. It's not the issue. But like, we kind of had to figure out like, okay, what's the one, what rule can we make to like stem the flow of unwanted puppies and all these dogs dying? Okay, so we can't solve it all by spay neuter. There's got to be rescue and there's got to be and support and intervention for people, low incomes and things like that and no services. So it's a big, big thing, but that's like the big general thing.
Right.
And Northern California, we've talked about this before versus Southern. Southern is very spay neuter all over the place. And here it's very like, it's personal. It's my dog, my dog's body. It's
my dog's body, my choice.
Yeah, pretty much.
So wait, if you don't think that a lack of spaying and neutering is causing the dog overpopulation problem, what do you think is causing it?
Poverty.
So,
because I don't think if you're forcing people to if people could make that choice, if they could afford care for their dog and spay and neuter their dogs, I think they would do it. Because it is a pain in the ass.
I see what you're saying. It does have to do with not spaying and neutering, but it's not the people who have made the choice. It's the people who don't have them. It's that the means to take care of this wasn't there.
Yeah. And so then what happens, and I know I talk about this sometimes, and so if people are like, God, she's going there again. So say I have, no services and I don't have a car and I have 2 jobs and I love my dog and they're not spayed or neutered or whatever. And they get out of the yard because I can't afford to like fix my fence or whatever the case is. They get picked up. They go to the shelter. I can't afford to get my dog out of the shelter because they're going to ding me for license if he's not licensed. and it's not going to be licensed because it's not spayed or neutered. And to license a dog that's intact is super expensive. So license are going to ding me. They're going to spay and neuter my dog and charge me for it. They're going to charge me an impound fee. And all of a sudden I'm at like $500.
Yeah.
So I have to make the decision to leave my dog there because I can't afford to get my dog out, and I break my own heart, and I can't, there's nothing I can do about it. And so that a lot of dogs end up in the system like that.
I didn't realize that. That is so
Yeah.
sad. Because I know you've done, so we used to, oh my gosh, what was it called? I had a segment where I would feature a shelter dog that you were working with. And we actually got some dogs adopted, which was great. And we would do it every week.
Yes.
It might have been like dog of the week.
It might have just been something that catchy.
Yeah. And original.
Right.
But so I know that you've done a ton of work with shelters. I didn't realize that oftentimes, it's such a sad situation. I didn't realize that oftentimes dogs in shelters are wanted. They're just not afforded by their family.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Like not every dog there is like dumped.
Right.
Like your dog keeps getting out.
Yeah.
Like you can't like, and that's when when I was at that the South shelter, it's got a name, Chesterfield Square, something. I don't know. The South LA shelter has a new name. But that intervention program, which is just epic, thanks to Lori Weiss from Downtown Dog Rescue, she started that. We had like a guy who would come fix your fence. We had training classes. They had like all these services to intervene if people didn't have the means to keep the dog themselves for whatever reason. So, and that's why they do these free spay neuter clinics, and they go into the neighborhoods that don't have access to these, and you sign up and you come and you do your vaccines and you do your spay neuter, and those people are lined up there. They're like, yeah, we're not like kicking and screaming, like trying to get them to do it. They're like, yes, thank you. I'd love, this is great. I couldn't afford it. I wanted to do it, but I couldn't afford to do it.
Right. So when we last talked to you, you were living in Texas and you were going to give it a year. And you are not in Texas anymore. You're in Napa area, which is where you're from originally, even though you lived in LA for many years. So tell me about the decision to say goodbye to Texas and how you're feeling now. And you also have a dog named Texas, and that's not what we're talking about.
And he actually changed his name to Texit. To Texit. After we left, I think it was like September 1st is when all the legislative changes happened in Texas, and he just couldn't identify with his name anymore. So he changed his name to Texit, like Brexit. And he generally, we just call him Tex now, so as not to confuse him with the state that shall remain nameless. So yeah, I had been to Texas in Austin, which isn't really Texas, a lot. In the past. And so I'd never been to Houston. I went and checked it out. I got kind of recruited by a dog training facility, which seemed lovely. And it seemed like we were aligned, and it seemed like it was going to be a really good thing. They did a lot of puppy raising, which is, you can hear the squeaky thing in the back right now. And that's, a lot of socialization, a lot of foundational stuff. And I was like, I'm so into this. This is so great. And then like you get there and then you're like, oh, the reality is like, it's not really like that. And for a lot of reasons, it's not like I don't feel bait and switched. It was just not it's not what I like to do. And it's not how sometimes you have to do something to realize that you don't want to do it.
Often. I find that I often do. Yeah.
Right. So, I was like, yeah, why not? COVID, I left in August 2020. COVID was totally in full swing, right? And it was starting to get tough here as a private dog trainer because they really couldn't go into people's homes. People are kind of freaking out. And so it all was just kind of timing that this position appeared. So I just packed up everything, and I had 2 dogs at that time. I have one now. Chappie went with me, and he poor guy died in Texas, but we brought him back. He's here in here.
Oh,
here.
A cute dog urn.
I have like a bunch of them. I just too many dead dogs. Anyways, so it was Houston's really ugly. I mean, ugly. If you come from Northern California or even Southern California,
Southern California really has its ugly places. I mean,
it does have its ugly places, but you have like mountains and hills and you can see them on a clear day, and you have the ocean, and it's like there's some real beautiful you get in the mountains and go hiking in LA. It's gorgeous. Like you got into the desert, gorgeous. And up here, there's tons of beautiful vistas and gorgeous, and you can see. Can all you hear is that puppy crying? Because that's all I can hear.
I can hear you too. I do hear a little bit, but it's like an adorable doodle named Mabel, right? Maple.
Yeah, like maple syrup.
Oh,
she lives in LA. She's going home next week. She's doing really good. She's ridiculously cute. So, so Houston is really flat, super flat, lots of trees. So I was like, well, maybe the trees will make it pretty. No, it's really flat and there's no natural beauty. Like they have some like manufactured parks that like have a pond with like a walk thing around it, but it's like, it doesn't feel real. It feels like you're at like downtown Disney or something. It's like it's like, that doesn't feel real. And so there's that. So it's just ugly and the weather's just disgusting. There are hurricanes, huge thunderstorms every day between 2 and 4. The raindrops are like this big.
Snowball sized.
They're huge. And then there was like that freeze last February where I didn't have water. For a
yes.
week.
Yes. Regular listeners of the show know that one of my frequent guests, Jackie Johnson, was in Texas to get married, and they ended up having to get married in her hotel room.
Oh my gosh.
And they could, like all the, like none of the planned vendors could come because the roads were frozen and she was afraid of COVID. I mean, it was like a nightmare scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. My neighbors, I met all my neighbors that week because they were like, can I borrow some captured snow out of your wheelbarrow so I can melt it and put it down my toilet? Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
that's awesome. We're borrowing like swimming pool water from the guy next door. There was a night where I was like, I really wanted to eat. I wanted some pasta. I just felt like, and I was like, I had 2 bottles of water and I was like, oh, but I really need to wash my hair. Do I wash my hair? Or do I boil pasta? Like, it was gross.
What'd you do?
I boiled pasta.
I just feel like that's the right decision.
I boiled pasta and then I used the pasta water to flush down the toilet. So I didn't feel like I totally wasted the water.
Yeah.
I kind of got 2 uses out of it.
Yeah.
And then I borrowed water from someone to wash my hair. But anyways, yeah. That was a rough week. I was like, I totally failed my Laura Ingalls test because I thought I'd be like a really good pioneer. So not. I was like, nope, not my jam. So yeah, and then there's the what I do for a living, like that cup just didn't get filled the whole time because I am a dog trainer because I like relationships. Like, let's repeat for the audience. How old is Wendy?
7.
And we've been talking this entire time of her life. It's not like you saw me and you never saw me again.
Right.
And that's kind of like this facility was kind of like, you'll never see those people again. But like, I'm about relationships. So I want people to call me and ask me, I have this weird dog question. I had a client from 9 years ago. She's like, I think we're ready for a puppy. Will you help us? Like, that's my jam. Like, that's what I want people to know. I get Christmas cards from people, you know, and I get pictures from even the dogs that we rescued during that. When I was down at the Downey shelter, like I still follow them on Instagram and they're still being like, look, Alpine loves the snow and all these cute things. It's ridiculous. So that's what I love. And I wasn't getting any of that. And so the owner was super understanding. She was like, yeah, I figured it wasn't going to work.
Oh,
she was like, I was like, yeah, I've got her. And then she's like, she's going to realize that this place sucks and it's Houston. And so, yeah. So I gave notice. I think I gave him like 4 months notice. I was like, I'm leaving, just so you know. Yeah. And then I got the hell out of there.
And now you're in Napa. Is this the same town that you grew up in?
Well, I was in Napa briefly until I found a place to live. Now I'm in Santa Rosa.
Okay.
Which is about an hour north of San Francisco. Cute. It's I just read somewhere it's the 5th largest city in the Bay Area.
Ooh.
But like there aren't a lot of big cities in this. So it's like, okay, 5th under like San Jose, Oakland, like all the other cities in the Bay Area, it's the 5th.
Right.
We have an Apple store, so it seems it's pretty metropolitan. But there's lots of cows and sheep and horses. And I grew up in Sacramento.
Okay.
But I had cousins here and used to spend a lot of summers and visits here. So this Northern California feels like home. It's like, I was just in LA like 2 weeks ago and I was like, this place is crazy. There's so many people here. Where are all these houses? They're just all on top of each other. Like I've been gone 3 years and I just was freaking out at how dense it is because I've been gone a little bit. So
do you miss LA at all?
No.
That's what happens.
Not at all.
I've noticed this. Yeah.
Not at all. No. Like even I had friends that are like, great, you're coming to town. Is there some restaurant you want to eat? Like I went to Swingers. I was really excited. I like met my friend Rebecca at Swingers. I was like, oh, I need to go to Swingers and have Edwin's pasta. It's going to be so good. And it was, but
not enough to make you come back.
I could wait another 3 to 5 years for that. Like it just, So
now you're doing, I know you came down to pick up Maple and then you brought her back and you're doing what are you doing puppy? What do you call what you're doing?
I call it indoctrination. No, I call it just puppy raising, like, getting her to sleep through the night. She's 12 weeks when I got her up here. So sleeping through the night, potty training, being okay in her pen. Like she's calmed herself down, like not, kind of working her own ability to self-soothe. I think owners, even when they don't mean to, they can over coddle.
You are using a tone of voice as if you are cute. Are you talking about me? Don't think I didn't immediately know that.
I go, man, the minute these words are coming out of my mouth, she's going to be like, I know you're talking about Wendy. Oh my God. No. I'm not talking about Wendy. But truly, nobody needs to know anything about your relationship with Wendy, but you are not alone, Allison. I
did it with my kids too. And it's hard. It's hard with kids and with dogs to allow them to be making sounds that make you think they're in distress.
Yeah. I hear that. So, it's nice to just have the dog, and the dog is in distress, and it doesn't turn any buttons for me, so I don't go running to it. And I'm like, work it out. You're fine. Read a book. You're fine. I'll play some calming music. I'm really big on 417 megahertz frequency right now. It's supposed to clear out negative energy, and the dogs seem to fall asleep when I put it on. So whatever.
How do you find that frequency?
I have no idea. I read it somewhere, and I'm like, what's this?
No, but how do you
I ask Alexa. Don't want to say her name. Yeah. She heard me. She can hear me from across the room.
So you ask your smart
I ask my smart
device
speaker to play it.
Got it. Interesting. And then is it just up like a tone, or is it?
It's kind of like sound bathy. It's a little it's a little woo woo.
What? I'm gonna write this down. What is the specific?
417.
417. I've been playing 418 this whole time. That's where I've been going wrong. I remember.
But now there's a bunch of other frequencies for other things, and I was like, what? So I'm kind of looking at that now. But yeah, and she's walking on a leash and sitting at curbs and sit and down, stay, touch, leave it, getting all her commands. So when I bring her back, she's certainly not done because she's still a baby. But they can go about their life a little more. They have, 2 girls and they have busy lives, and another dog who's just this rescue dog who just sleeps on the couch all day, and she's just lovely little throw pillow. She's fabulous. She's like, whatever, I don't care. And so now they've got this nut who's just like, oh my God, I'm so cute. Everybody thinks I'm cute. Oh my God. And then she just goes through these puppy zoomies, and then she gets violent. She's got rage, and she gets super angry about stuff and gets, And then I just put her in her crate and told her to be quiet. Tex doesn't like her because he's blind now. And so he's just minding his own business, and he's pretty deaf too. So here he is in his own quiet space. And then he just gets shot in the face with this fluffy dog. And and then he just goes with his 4 teeth that he has left. So
yeah, I remember when we first called you and we had done a few trainings, and I was kind of and I think from your Instagram, I knew that you would sometimes just take puppies and teach them everything and then bring them back. And I was kind of can you just do this with Wendy? And you're like, no, you missed the window. now basically I just have to train you and Daniel, and Wendy can come along. And I was like, God damn it. This is, I really wanted, can you just take her out and train her?
I don't think you would have been able to like let Wendy go for 2 weeks, honestly.
Oh, no, not for two. I don't think, now I'm remembering, it wasn't for 2 weeks, but you would come and then we'd all go outside and go on a walk together.
Yeah. And when she'd be like, oh, you're like, do I have to be here for these lessons? I'm
yeah.
Like, yes.
Yes. And I was hoping you could just pick her up and teach her stuff and then drop her off.
Right. A lot of people ask me that. They're like, oh, do I have to be here? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Well, because we don't realize that you're training us.
Yeah.
It's the relationship.
You have to be there.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I probably told you last time you were on the show, but I remember you commenting at the beginning that Wendy was so hyper bonded to me and vice versa. But now she is she likes me, but she's all about Daniel.
Is she?
Yes. Like wherever he goes, she goes with him, or she wants to be in the room wherever she is.
Well, it's because you had 2 babies.
I think so. If he's in the bathroom.
And she's like, oh, well, at least, yeah. You know, she got to share you. She only gets a third of you now.
I guess.
And she can probably talk Daniel into like 100% loving.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's sick. When Daniel leaves the house, she just sits near the window and kind of just waits. And I made the mistake of asking, and I knew the answer, but I was like, when I leave the house, and he's like, yeah, she doesn't notice. She does not care. But like you said, I think it's better because then I don't feel guilty when I'm not paying attention to her.
Yeah. She's such a sweetheart. I love calves. I always tell people who have never had a dog before and they want a first dog, and if they have kids, I say just get a calf. Just like don't overthink this. Just go get a Cavalier, and they're great dogs and they don't need a lot. Don't overfeed them, because they will talk you into it.
Oh yeah,
that's their thing. But they're just really sweet.
They are. What's another breed? What's like if someone said, what's a breed? I'm saying it. What's a breed that's similar to a Cavalier temperament wise, but maybe with fewer health problems?
I would say, what's really interesting. I was reading an article about the doodle explosion. And they were saying that poodle crosses overall have like 63 or 65% less cancers than their purebred parts.
Right. Interesting.
Like the cancer numbers of Goldens and Labs and Poodles are much higher than the mixes. Right. And I was like, okay, so that's one argument for them.
Is that the only one though, as far as you're concerned, right? You're not a big doodle fan?
Maple is fabulous, I have to say, and she knows it. Female mini golden doodles, and there's something magical about them. Everyone I've ever trained has been epically wonderful. But I mean, they're throwing it into everything right now. So Bernedoodles.
Wait, what? I have a question. Okay, so I have solicited questions on Patreon, and then also I had people call in with questions, and someone I know, a friend of mine, called in about her Bernedoodle. So actually, should we just play that question now, and then you can answer it since you just made a comment about Bernedoodles? Okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we are now looking at Maple.
She's so cute.
Oh, so she's a golden doodle, mini golden doodle, or like a... Okay, so she's like a miniature poodle and a golden retriever.
Yes.
Oh my God. So what will she be, like 20 pounds? She's so cute.
You're such a good dog expert now, Alice.
I know. I don't know what happened.
Check you out.
It's 'cause of TikTok.
Maybe about 20 pounds, right? Yeah, about 20 pounds full grown. Okay, great.
Okay, so here is the call.
Hi, I have a 12-month-old Bernedoodle who's a giant asshole. My question is, how do we get him to stop digging trenches in our yard and stop barking in general, but more specifically at everyone? Thanks.
I've met this dog through a sliding glass door he's so cute, but he's huge.
Oh, right. So he's like standard poodle and a full-grown Bernedoodle, and then they're just giant beasts.
I guess, yeah. He is very, very big, and he's got that puppy energy where he's like popping up all the time, and yeah, just digging trenches in their yard.
Well, this isn't going to last, Maple, because you're really like not in your Zen place right now.
Yeah.
But look at this face.
Bye, Maple. Oh,
Maple.
she's so cute. She is so cute. You know, she really looks. So I think I've mentioned, we had a little miniature poodle when I was growing up named Woofy, and she's very poodle looking.
Woofy.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Woofy.
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 Well, I didn't say it that way. We said it.
Woofy.
Woofy.
I love that.
She's very poodly.
Yeah, she's really cute. She's going to start screaming. I put her in a crate right next to me, thinking that she would just calm down. It's just her witching hour. I'm like, oh God, I gotta get on the call. I gotta feed them both. I gotta walk them both. Like, this is the worst time, but it's a good time. It's not the worst time. All right. So 12-month, I love it when people go, my dog's an asshole. I do love it. It's just the best thing ever. It just always makes me laugh. Oh, you're going to cry, aren't you? Okay, well, we're just going to let you go and see if you go get bit by Texas. Let's go see what happens. It's going to be a gladiator fight. So my hunch is, all right, so digging is a boredom.
Mm-hmm.
So barking can also be frustration and some boredom. So my hunch is that he probably doesn't have a lot of structure in his life, and he probably has too much freedom. And I can almost say this about any dog. Less freedom, more structure solves a myriad of problems. So he's probably like a giant dog. Like, he's probably not getting enough exercise, because they probably can't walk him because he sounds like a beast. But because they didn't train him to walk when he was younger, they can't walk him now. So then that you get into that cycle. It gets a pain in the ass to walk him, so you don't walk him, so he doesn't get to practice to get better. And then you're just like in this circle, like going on and on. So you need to figure out like what tools are going to work for him. Like, is it a gentle leader? Is it an easy walk harness? Is it a prong collar? Like, what's going to work and make him happy to walk and manageable to walk, so he can walk more? So then he's happier because he's more tired, and you're happier because he's not digging holes, because he's not bored, because he got to go on a walk and like sniff and stuff. So I'm going to guess like he probably sleeps in bed with them or wherever he wants. I'd be surprised if he slept in a crate.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but like that usually is a big giver away of behaviors. When it's like the first question I ask them, like, so where do they sleep at night? And they're like, in bed with me. And you're like, what? in bed? In what bed? In our room. I'm like, in a dog bed in your room? They're like, no. Like, they completely try to like, I'm like, who are you trying? Like, it's just me. What? Just say they're in my bed. So,
but we all know how you. I mean, I can feel it. I'm recalling the judgment I felt over Wendy in our bed.
It's not judgment, as like, I want to help you. So it's like, if like, and everybody knows this. Like, when I ask them, they know that they're not supposed to be doing it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're like, because they'd be like, oh, some people go, oh, she sleeps in bed with us. Like, it's totally like, they know it, they don't have any idea that that's not the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people are like, I'm really bad about this.
Yeah.
So, like if somebody's always dehydrated, I'm like, well, do you drink water? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay.
So
drink water.
Remind us why it is bad to let your dog sleep in bed with you.
It's not that it's bad, and it's not a problem unless it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So if your dog has boundary issue drama, and they don't listen to you, and you're just a roommate, and you're not anybody of influence in their life,
and you're not a fuck buddy, you're just a roommate.
Right. Then you have to look at the things that you control in their life versus the things they control. So if they have a full bowl of food all day, and they free feed, and they eat when they want, and they have a dog door, they go out when they want, and they sleep in your bed, you're really just like the errand girl. Like, you're just not the person making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But if you leash them up for their walk, and you poop them and pee them on their walk, and you feed them, and if they don't eat their food, then it goes up and they sleep in a crate, all of a sudden, like, somebody would be like, well, then you're a warden and they're in prison, but you're controlling their resources. So you have like puppies with thumbs now. You got the kids, like they have resources, and to do what they want to do, they have to do other things. You know what I mean? And when kids get older, it's like you can't have screen time until you do this. You
Homework,
do your homework. Don't do this. You don't spoil your dinner. You don't come home and eat what you want. Like all of those things. You want to drive the car. You're going to have to do this. Make
Right. It
grades.
is kind of the same. It like, you
It's
know,
completely
with
the same.
toddlers, even though they throw their weight around and they act like they want to make their decisions, they're, you know, I think most child psychologists would say that when you are the one holding limits and making decisions for them, they actually feel safer.
Yes. And dogs are terrible decision makers. They're just the worst decision makers ever. And so that's part of the training, right? Like we're trying to set them up to be successful. So I don't have to spend my life correcting their behavior and punishing them and convincing them that the world is really scary. So look at me and punish you when you look out there. What I want them to do is like, I'm going to set you up for success. I'm going to make your choices really simple. So I'm going to keep you in a pen if I don't have my hands on you. So you can't choose to go eat the furniture. I'm going to put you in a crate at night. So if you have to pee, you have to go, excuse me, I have to pee. And you just don't make that bad choice. I'm going to take all those choices away from you. So then I will help you make the right choices. Then by practice, those will be the only choices you ever make. And then ta-da, right? So it's not that it's bad if your dog sleeps in bed with you. Texas has been sleeping in bed with me now. I got him back in the crate. He's 14. There are years he slept in the crate and years that he didn't sleep in the crate. It was, you know, like sometimes, you know, and I go back to my dog Diva that I had between like 20 and 36. Same thing. She was 16. She'd sleep in the crate for years and out of the crate for years. And it was really dependent on like if I was single or not. If I was single, she'd sleep in bed with me. If I was in a relationship, she'd sleep in the crate. But, you know, even when I was married, I think all 3 dogs slept in bed with us because we just figured it out and it was really cute and we loved it. But, so he's been back in the crate, but he had like 13 teeth pulled at Christmas and he was having a really hard time recovering. And I was just for sure that he was going to like die in his sleep. So like, I just needed him next to me. So he's been in bed with me. But he doesn't really do anything. He sleeps. That's all he does now anyway. So if he was being a jerk, for most of his adolescence, he never slept in bed with us because he was kind of a jerk on leash. So that's why it's just about controlling their resources and controlling their ability to make decisions and just setting them up for success. So when your dog has no respect for you in a leadership way, and you call it like you're the alpha or leader, whatever, just like if you're just not the one making decisions and throwing your influence around, they're not going to listen to you. So they're not going to listen to you on leash. They're not going to listen to you come when they're running away from you. They're not going to listen to you for sit down, stay. All of that stuff it all bleeds into each other. So that's why.
Are there
long
any puppies that you think, like, would you advise no one to ever let a new puppy in their bed?
Oh, yeah. Because those guys are like, like, oh my God. I swear their mama dog sends them away going, get in the bed as soon as you can. You'll be in the bed forever. Like they'll never make you leave. Just get in it. Just get in the bed. Just get in the bed.
Oh, right. Well, that's how we were with Wendy. I mean, because
they're so cute. And you're just like,
and because we were so heartbroken over what happened with Oliver, and Oliver never slept in our bed, that we were just like, we were not. I'm glad we got her, but we were not in the right headspace to get a puppy at that time. We were just so sad that I was like, I'm too sad to live, you know? So, and then she was in our bed and then actually the first couple nights we did try to have her in a crate and then she ended up in the bed.
Right.
She's been
and
there
again,
ever since,
like the dogs, I'm always saying it's just more, they're more than a dog. That's more complicated. And it's like, if you're in a grieving period, if you're in any sort of trauma, like you're gonna use the dog and you're gonna dump on the dog, and that's fine, but you have to be aware that that's what you're doing, because those sort of things will sort of come back to haunt you. Like, you know, when like dogs kind of mark periods of our life, you know, and And, you know, kids, you have like longer and you have milestones their whole life through school and stuff like that. But dogs, shorter life, and you have different things. Like, you know, when I lost Chappie in June, it was like, oh gosh, like it took me back to when I got Chappie and where I was in my life when I got Chappie, and, you know, and I was married, and where was I living, and all these things. And then it just reminds you of all these things, and happy and sad times, and loss and grief and expectations not met and all this sort of stuff. So they're really so much more than a goldfish or a cat you've had for a long. And I'm not sorry, cat people. You might feel that way about your cat, but in general, it's just it's a really complicated relationship. So yeah, puppies are usually the ones who get in the bed first. I have a client right now, and
I think you've angered all of Cat Nation.
I know. Sorry, cat people. I had a cat. His name was Scrappy. Named him after Scrappy Doo on Scooby Doo show. I think I had him from like 6th grade to like I was in college. And he was nice, but he was an outdoor cat. So
I think it's different. Yeah. I don't know. I do feel that people's relationship with their cats are as intense as people's relationships with their dogs.
Are they?
It seems like it. It does seem like it.
I don't know.
Look, I'm overcompensating because I've been accused of disliking cats.
I think you're playing it really. I think you're playing it real safe, Rosen. I'm just saying.
I don't want to get canceled, Laura.
Trying to please everybody.
I know. And like in 2022, I'm done with that. And yet here I am.
Cats are great. Cats count.
Not hashtag not all cats. All cats lives matter. I don't know. Anyway, you were saying something about puppies.
So the puppies, I have a client now. She has a 45-pound, 6-month-old golden retriever. Nice dog, Maisie. Has tons of like spaz behavior. So like she really should have been in the crate like day one. We could have like totally rerouted this first 6 months, this for 4 months. She's been home for 2 months, right? At 8 weeks. And then she's now 6 months. We could have totally changed the dog that she is. But the dog she is now is going to be the dog she's going to be because her mom just kept letting her be in bed. She gets on all the furniture. She does whatever she wants. So now she's 45 pounds. She's like, get off the couch. And she's like, since when? Like, I've only known being on the couch.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're acting like I shouldn't be doing it, but why in my dog brain I've always been on the couch. That's so weird. I've always been in your bed. And Maisie got really tired in our workout and she just got up and she was sick of me. And so she got up and she like walked down the hall. And so we followed her and she got up on her mom's bed and she just like went to sleep. She was just like, I'm done. And I was like, really? And so it's that sort of, when you have a puppy and you're trying to teach them to listen to you and they're just like, yeah, I'm just going to go lay down because this is boring me. That's that, like, you just don't have a lot of influence. That's all. So, but I get it. They're super cute.
So let's answer more questions. If anyone wants to call in, obviously it's too late to call in for this show, but the number is 323-553-2331. 553. I said it so fast I lost 2331. I'm going to be playing more messages in 2022. So that's the number.
Yes.
I am also on Patreon. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. That is where I have collected questions for Laura, but other things that you get if you join my Patreon. Bonus episodes of The Friend Zone. That's my Patreon podcast. There's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. There's Zoom parties. You can see the Thursday show video. This video will be on YouTube, youtube.com/Allison Rosen. And you can also submit questions and carbs and all sorts of stuff. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. And if you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free. So 12 months for the price of 10. Okay, let's take some questions.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
Oh, what do you know? This first one is from Allison Rosen, and it's a continuation of what she was asking before when she cut you off. It turns out she's wondering, similar in temperament dogs to Cavaliers.
Right. I was thinking about that too. Similar in temperament, I don't know. They're kind of magical that way. They're just meh. And I mean that in a good way. They're just really
sweet.
And they just go along with the flow. They're just like, cool, okay, we can do that. We can eat there. That's fine. Okay. They're fine. But a dog that has really become kind of gaining popularity right now, and I really enjoy training, is the Legato Romagnolos.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
I know. Legatos. They just generally go by that. They're Italian truffle hunting dogs. So they're curly haired. They're kind of like a Portuguese water dog. Okay. But smaller. They come in like white and tan and white and all kind of different colors. Gray, like a little, they come in a bunch of cute colors. Really smart dogs. They don't get very big. They're maybe a 30-pound dog. They're adorable puppies. The grooming's not that bad, although it's curly. They don't like, it's not like weird matting hair kind of stuff. So it's easy just to keep them clean. They're just really smart and they're really sweet. They're not too bossy. I've all of the ones that I've worked with have been darling, and I've had ones from like 9 years old to like 3 months old. So, I really like those right now.
I will look them up. Okay. Allie M. It's not me. Allie M. Even though I am an Allie M.
I have a question from Allie R. A. Rosen. Wendy.
I know. Okay. She says, I recently rescued a Chihuahua mix who is terrified of everything. Parentheses, she's making progress. My mom lives very close by and is who I thought would be our dog sitter when away from home, but my dog is too scared of her to do anything with her while I'm not home. Any tips for how we can build the dog's trust in my mom?
Oh, that's sad. Well, it's tricky, sometimes answering these kind of questions because I don't know.
Right.
How scary her mom is. So I don't know. But dogs can be really sensitive to a lot of things like energy, tone of voice, height, stuff like that. They can just be weirded out by it and you don't know why. And you can make up a story like, oh, maybe they got hit by a tall person, whatever. But there's, for whatever reason, they don't like it. And so I would say, shy dogs are hard. They're great because like when they make progress, you're like, yes, it's so rewarding. But I would say probably you just can't rush it. It might take months. Like, I don't know how long she's had the dog. She didn't say, right?
She said I recently rescued.
Recently?
Yeah.
So I say with rescuing, I usually say it's like 4 months before the dog really kind of like settles into being your dog. So if she's like recently, like I've had the dog a month, like you're still in the not even the honeymoon stage because it's a bad stage, but it's still really new to the dog. So I would just like set up some routines. If she, make sure she crate trains that dog, right? Because the crate could give the dog a real sense of safety. So if she has a nice small crate with soft bedding and it's cozy and that's where she likes to be, then that crate can go to her mom's and the dog doesn't care where the crate is as much as if she's doing what we all do with a sad, scared dog and we're just like, we let it sleep in bed with us and
cradle them, yeah.
And we cradle it and we coddle it and we just, and then like, so then they hyperbond to us. Of course they're going to be scared of everybody. And so we kind of have to, it's our responsibility to like build up the dog. Oh no, the puppy just found a toy. It's going to get loud.
Okay.
Maybe not.
It hasn't happened yet.
She found her flirt pole. Best toy in the world.
A flirt pole? I've never.
Flirt pole.
What is it?
So they should give me some kickback
Yeah.
here. It's by Squishy Face is the name of the brand. And it's a flirt pole. So it's like a cat flirt pole. It's a pole with a string and rag on the end. But they make them for dogs. So they're durable.
Fun.
And she goes bananas for it. So you can just sit down and just.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very, very lazy person dog toy. It's awesome. I'm like, I can watch Ted Lasso. Okay, come on. Let's go. Just woo. So she's got to make sure that she's not like coddling the puppy and that she's enabling the puppy to do some confidence building stuff. So I would teach puppy touch. So that helps shy dogs because then, touch is like touching nose to your hand like that. And that helps a dog, beside it being a trick and they're getting a treat for it. So that's a fun game. It helps a shy dog control hello.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Oh,
you say,
interesting. Yeah.
and so like, I'm a stranger. I put my hand out and then the dog's like, oh, I know what this game is. I'm going to touch your hand. You're going to give me a cookie. So it gives them more confidence as opposed to scary hand coming to get me. Right. So teaching touch is important. I would get some sort of sleep routine going on. Maybe some CBD would help.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly. Have mom feed her sometimes, some delicious food. So she kind of has like a positive sort of thing with mom.
So it sounds like overall,
but be patient.
Yeah, it sounds like overall it's less about.
Oh, she just peed.
Do you need to go get it? It's okay.
It's already happened.
So it sounds like it's less about specifically something with the mom than just getting the Chihuahua mix who's terrified of everything to feel more confident in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's hard because as people were just like, why don't you understand my intention? Let me hold you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. And they're like, this is so scary. Oh my gosh, I'm terrified. Right.
Yeah.
So, and when you think it's like, okay, I think she's ready. I think I'm going to make that next step. It's too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Just know that it's too soon. And people do this sometimes with dogs that bite, like shy dogs that bite. They're like, oh, I think she'll let me pet her now. And then they grab them and they get bit in the face. And you're like, too soon. Puppy, Maple, hi, come here. Watch, touch. She laid down. She's got a really good down.
Oh.
You're a brat.
Angela D says, any tips to stop my 2-year-old pug from chewing anything he finds on the ground, socks, shoes, paper? He has a lot of chew toys and regular exercise doesn't seem to prevent it.
Pick up your house. Sometimes management is a thing. Like people will be like, he's always going into my son's room and peeing. It's like, shut your son's door to the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like dogs do what they do. They practice. Everything they're doing is practice to do it again. Right. So they're like, that was so much fun. I'm going to totally do that again. So, I would teach a leave it for sure. I would teach a drop it for sure. So when pug is going for socks, head sock, you say leave it and he looks sorry. And then you give him a reward. Or when pug already has sock, you say drop it and he drops it and you give him a reward. So those are two really, really important tools for dogs who like to steal stuff and get into stuff. But that and just keeping stuff off the ground for sure. But I wouldn't know what to do without leave it. It's the best command in the world. So, hi, puppers.
I don't think Wendy really knows leave it.
She doesn't have to. She's a cavalier.
Joy Whitbeck says, I like to run on trails and have had some awful encounters with bad owners not following the leash laws and letting their dogs charge and bark aggressively at me. What's my best response in the moment to stay safe and to the person whose dog is going to get hurt or hurt someone? P.S. If I see a dog nearby, I walk and give as much space as possible. I don't hate dogs as much as Allison hate cats. See, it's an inside joke now. An odd, but a few experiences have made me very cautious of them.
I think her awareness is great because I'm always blown away by runners who just run by dogs and think a dog's not going to chase them. Because I'm like, dude, you're running. Most dogs are like, what? Like, they're going to chase you. Or if you zoom by on a bike or a skateboard, I'm like, don't be a dick. So, but I get it. I can envision everything and where she is when she's saying this. I can totally imagine like in LA, like running on trails. I mean, that's where people like want to get their dog exercise. And those are the people who are like trying to do right by their dog and like trying to get an exercise. So it's not digging holes and barking at everyone. Right. So, but there has to be like some responsibility. Like the law is your dog has to be under your control at all times. So if it's charging people, it's not under your control and it's not respectful because a person can be afraid of dogs. And imagine how terrifying that is when you're just trying to be healthy and go running and you're getting charged by a dog. It's a really bad thing. It's happened to Texas the night before. This boxer came out of nowhere and was just running up on us. And he used to have a problem with dogs. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs, get your dog. Like so loud. And I'm like, and I just kind of bent my knees and I was like, I'll kick it if it comes up to me. I will kick this dog. And I did. I pushed it. Well, I pushed it very hard with the bottom of my foot, and then he got mad at me, and I said,
the owner
I was holding Texas, and he was screaming, and it was like, yeah, and the owner's like, hey, and I'm like, really, hey, like, where's your leash? Like, what's going on? This is super unsafe. So
now, being a dog trainer, could you tell that what the boxer was going to do? Like, could you tell?
Yeah,
that
and the boxer wasn't aggressive. He was a boxer, so he's just like, I'm just going to run up on you super hard, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm not listening to my dad, and he's like 7 houses behind me. But my dog was going crazy.
Yeah,
and for his safety, like something had to happen. So. And I'm also not going to be one. I mean, I'm someone who would yell at somebody about something, and then most people don't want, and especially in this world, it's just like not the climate for like people are very emboldened, and so you don't want to yell at the wrong person and get shot or whatever. So I would say if running, I would bring pet corrector, which is not an air horn. But it's like the red can. It's like it
makes that high pitch, like a hiss.
Yeah. It's just like air, right? So that could be enough. There's also spray shield, which goes further and is a citronella spray. So again, not mace, not going to burn him, but gets more distance. So you could use spray shield, and the dog's just going to be like, whoa, and kind of go away. So I would do that. My dad used to just walk with a big stick. When we were kids in the neighborhood, just be like, but you don't want to do that when you're running. So yeah. And I think, and when you're on trails, these people aren't, you're never going to see them again. It's like, if it were my neighbor, I'd be like, hey, I'd have a discussion, I'd bring him a leash. I've had people buy gift certificates for training for their neighbors. All sorts of stuff. So, it's tricky because it is really irresponsible of the owner to let your dog run off leash, especially in those parks. It's dangerous.
Megan P wants to know, is she proud of Wendy for her weight now?
I'm so proud. I'm proud of Allison for Wendy's weight.
Thank you. Yeah, ideal body condition. I mean, come on.
Ideal. You want her to live as long as she can.
Well, she has a heart murmur now and she's on heart meds, so it was kind of
I wasn't good enough. You had to have the doctor.
No.
Okay.
We had already done it when
Oh, good.
Yeah, when it was discovered. That's something her cardiologist said. She's in her body condition is ideal, and her cardiologist had never known her when she was overweight.
Good. Great.
So, it was really fortuitous that you had just shamed me so harshly.
I love that my shaming lasts. It's like got sticking. It's got real.
It worked. Yeah. No, it was really good that you had said that. I think just for anyone who didn't listen to, because this all happened on air on the last episode. My feeling was dogs live such. And by the way, our vet, many people had. Not many, but like any vet she had seen had said that she's overweight and she should lose about this many pounds. And I just felt like they don't live that long, altogether. And so if you think about how long it's going to take for her to lose that weight, that means that she's going to be, look, as someone who has dieted and as someone who had deals with my own weight,
right.
Like she's going to be, it was bringing up my stuff, but like basically she's going to be in a deprived, uncomfortable
scarcity
state
for like a year, which is equivalent of like 7 years.
For a long time or whatever. So I don't want to put her through that.
That's exactly what I'm saying with like dogs. It's so much more than a pet, because like literally those triggers of our own stuff.
Right.
Like I'm constantly saying, like, it's not about the dog. I'm like, how are your boundaries? How are your, things like, how are your abandonment issues with people? I'm constantly like, it's not this is so not about the dog.
Right.
So that's really interesting that it was all that stuff for you. But yeah, see, that all comes from love.
Right. So then it was, you kind of gave us a blueprint for how to do it. It was put her in her crate when you guys eat dinner, because Daniel was just giving her like half of his dinner every night. And, give her half a cup of kibble in the morning, give her a third a cup of kibble in the evenings, and cut down on the treats. And we did all of that. And I would say it took, I don't know. I mean, that's still what we do with her.
Right.
So maybe it took like a year and a half or 2 years.
Right.
But
it's hard.
Yeah.
Because
she acted hungry.
It's hard to get it off a dog.
She was hungry all the time at the beginning, but now she's actually like, sometimes she won't finish her breakfast, but then she'll go back and she'll have it later. But I think some of that's because she's on pimobendan now, which is a heart med. But anyway, but it's just good it's good that she's going into this needing to be on heart meds at a really good weight, as opposed to if she was super overweight and then I'd be worrying like, oh, is this making it worse?
Right.
So
it's hard to not, like Texas is a lean dog. He's got a swimmer's body, but he is on a dog food called Fat Dog. And I'm like, how long before they cancel that dog food?
Right.
Because even my friend's 8-year-old was like, that's a terrible name. Why would they say it should be like Chubby Dog? Why is it Fat Dog? And
but I think people have reclaimed, and this is hard for me to wrap my head around, but people have reclaimed the word fat. Yeah. Because to me, overweight is so much like gentler. That because of the time that I grew up, like overweight is a more gentle way of saying fat. But the thinking is overweight suggests there's something wrong with it.
Weight
fat is just a descriptor. Yeah.
Right. I'm down with that.
So wait, what is Fat Dog though? Is it for dogs who need to diet?
Yeah, it's a weight maintenance, low fat dog food. Now he doesn't need to lose weight, but he's had a bout with pancreatitis before.
Oh.
And so you just have to I have to keep him, like, his meals have to be really lean. So
got it.
He eats whatever I give him. So he's always been good like that.
What do you think of, and here's where we're going to anger some people. What do you think of grain-free or raw diets?
There have been some recent articles out that like everybody panicked about the grain-free because like grain-free was big for a while, right? And then they were like, oh my gosh, don't do it. It causes cardiac problems. And then it was like, oh my God. And everybody started eating grains again. So all of that stuff just
cyclical. Yeah.
Just wait a minute and don't change your dog's food for any reason. If this ain't broke, don't fix it. Like you're fine. So I think grain-free isn't necessary. I think there's a bit of like our own
keto
projection of gluten and whatever on our dogs. I mean, there was a push at the LA Animal Services at the shelter, who runs the shelters, to put all the dogs on plant-based diet. And it was like,
a dog be on a plant-based diet?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, whatever. They're scavengers technically, but it wouldn't be good for them. Like they're meat eaters. So it was just weird. But and raw I think is great. I think raw's really expensive. If I had one small dog, raw might be a good thing. There's a lot of fresh food diets now. Like, starting in LA was like Just Food for Dogs. They were in like pioneers in that. And they were cooking fresh meat meals for your dog. They'll do specific diets in tandem with your vet if it's something specific that your dog needs. But I just had like a not so good experience with one of those guys, one of those fresh food providers, when Texas got really sick. And so I'm kind of not down with their food anymore, because this one, I'm not going to say their name, but this like the one company, like they make you think that like you take this big like questionnaire about your dog and what they need, and they're like, we've got the exact thing for your dog. They make one turkey meal, they want to make chicken meal, and everybody gets it, but they make you think that it's made specifically for your dog, and it's not. And then they charge you gajillion dollars for it.
Right.
And then try to make you feel good that you're doing a good thing for your dog. And I just think it's a kind of, it's a little profiteering on the relationship with your dog. Like I'm kind of the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like if your dog likes their food and you've gone to the vet and all of the doctor says they're fine, then that's okay. You don't have to spend $1,000 on their food.
Yeah.
You don't have to cook. Some people cook for their dogs. Like, that's great. But that's also really hard because you got to make sure it's not just vegetables and meat. You got to add like all these other things to make it complete. And so that gets really tedious. Dog food's gross. I can say that. Yeah. They're just like high heat rendering of dog kibble and it's just not a lot of nutrition, but like you can add stuff to your own dog's food. Don't buy your dog food at the grocery store. That's my only like caveat. That's my non-negotiable. If you can buy it at the grocery store, it's probably not good dog food. I think Disney has a dog food called Old Yeller.
Oh, really?
Which is insane because that dog died in the movie. Yeah. So I'm not sure who that audience is.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No,
let's take a quick break. And then we'll come back. I want to tell you guys about a product that I've recently become acquainted with that I'm in love with. This next ad comes to you from a company that's cooking the best omelets you'll have all year, all while changing the world one egg at a time. It's called Just Egg, and I'm excited to tell you about it. So Just Egg is a cholesterol-free, plant-based egg that gives you the most decadent quiches of your life, the fluffiest scrambles, and the easiest egg sandwiches of all time. It has about the same protein as a chicken egg, and it has less saturated fat. Plus, Just Egg is packed with cholesterol-lowering polyunsaturated fat. Chicken eggs wish they were this healthy. And so I have it in two different forms. I have a couple bottles of Just Egg, and then I have the Just Egg Patties. The Just Egg Patties make like delicious egg sandwiches. You just pop it in the microwave or in your, there's, a couple different ways that you can heat that puppy up. And then the Just Egg, you just pour it into a pan. I think you can probably also do it in the microwave. Did you want a detailed description of how to cook it? I think everyone, however you do an egg, that's how you do Just Egg. But I poured it into a pan and then I scrambled it, and it makes like a really, like it scrambles up super well. And then the flavor, honestly, I think I prefer it to a chicken egg. It's slightly more savory, slightly more umami, 1,000 times as delicious. It's really good. Happy New Year, everyone. May it be filled with Just Egg. Just Egg. Really good eggs. I also want to talk to you guys about Lumino. I love my smile. What I don't love is all the toxic ingredients in most dental care products. They're not good for your health or your teeth. If you want the best for your oral health, products made with natural ingredients that help your smile not harm it, you should be using Lumino. Lumino makes toothpaste, mouthwash, and whitening products that actually help your oral health instead of hurting it. They use purposeful and uncompromising ingredients like sea salt, aloe, and coconut oils to clean and brighten your smile. Plus, everything they make is certified non-toxic. You won't find harsh bleaches, artificial dyes, or alcohol in any of Lumino's products. Everything they make is dentist formulated, backed by over 50 studies, and proven to protect the good bacteria in your smile, also known as the microbiome. Lumino whitening strips are super effective and perfect for sensitive teeth. It only takes 30 minutes to apply, and you'll see results in 7 days, making for incredible before and after pics. And I think one of my favorite Lumino products is the pen that you can apply before imbibing. Yeah, that works. Or ingesting. That's the word I was going for. Before eating something that's going to cause stains in your mouth. And it's gentle and it's whitening, and it's preventative as well. I love how my smile feels and looks, and I know you'll love Lumino as much as I do too. Get 15% off your order today by going to getlumino.com/bestfriend and use code bestfriend. That's getlumino, GETLUMINEUX.com/bestfriend, code bestfriend to save 15%. Getlumino.com/bestfriend. Okay, now we're back. Okay. Erica Criction says, we have a 10-month-old baby and 2 exuberant and big dogs. One of them wants to play with the baby, but doesn't have great physical boundaries. And the other is old and doesn't want the baby in his space. Any training tips? We worked hard on touch and leave it before the baby was born. And those are our go-tos.
Yes. Lots to say here. I want them to go to Family Paws official website, and that's for Family Paws parent education. I've recently become certified, licensed in this education program, which tackles having dogs in families, kids in families and dogs, and making it so the kids are safe, that the kids are dog aware, that they understand. We've got coloring pages and things like that when they're getting of that age. So we talk about how, dogs age and kids change, like how there's so much change in babies like your own. They're just not the same animal as they were when they came out of you. And so the dogs know this, and you have to know your dog and know what triggers they have. The sounds of the toys of the kids, are those the same sounds that drive your dog crazy? This is going to be a problem. There's a lot of stuff. So, it's super, super complicated. I will give you their website. There's a lot of free webinars. There's a lot of YouTube videos, and there are certified Family Paws educators in Los Angeles and in most cities. You can go to their website, click find an educator, and call one of these people because they're experts in what they do. And it's just a little bit more than like your regular dog trainer because they have a lot of early childhood education stuff.
Oh, that sounds really cool. All right. Family Paws. Yeah, it's interesting watching my own kids with Wendy. Owen has always been Owen's our second, has always been more bonded with Wendy, I think, than Elliot, and like sweeter with her. Elliot's sweet, but there's just like a special bond between Owen and Wendy. And yet of late, I feel like there's sibling rivalry between, and it's not coming from Wendy, it's coming from Owen. Like he,
I love it how you're like, it's not Wendy.
No, all of a sudden,
clear.
All of a sudden Owen has changed. And so now if he's eating and Wendy's in the room, and if she just starts sort of walking, not coming for his food, which she, by the way, she respects them more than us food wise, but I'm not saying she wouldn't, but she's just in the room and he'll be like, no, Wendy, no. Crate, Wendy, crate. He'll want her in the crate. She's pretty cool with all of it. Okay. Ames says, what are your thoughts on shock collars? I live in the mountains with moose and bears. So many people use them here, but I'm super hesitant. I should add, I have a stubborn northern breed who can't be off leash ever, which makes skiing and hiking with her difficult, and she needs the exercise. I never even thought of skiing with a dog.
Northern breed? What's a northern breed?
I wondered that. I thought maybe you would know.
No.
A northern breed. Like
Does he mean like he's got like a husky or
like
something?
Like a Malamute or something?
Okay.
I'm going to guess Malamute.
Okay.
That's my guess.
I'm going to cold weather dog. I appreciate that he lives in cold weather and has a cold weather dog as opposed to people who live in Los Angeles and have huskies. Yes. So, e-collars. I could go on for so long on e-collars. Texas, the state, loves them some e-collars. Loves, put them on puppy. Put them on anything. Put them on your goat. Put it on your child. They just put it on everything.
Is E stand for electronic?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like, it's not. It just vibrates.
I'm
like, with a battery. Hence electronic. So shock collar, e-collar, stim. The idea is that it's a punishment, right? It's a negative reinforcer. So a lot of people they're very popular now. There's a huge uptick. I relate it completely unscientifically directly to former President Trump's presidency and just how that time everybody got really weird and like just
angry,
emboldened and old fashioned the way we used to do it. So I'll just shock the dog. And so it's just really popular. It's popular up here, and a lot of the dog trainers who are using it are really not qualified, because the people who are good at it don't advertise that they do it. You just know someone who knows somebody. So these people, these yahoos who are like, I do it, I just don't think are very good at it. I believe that it takes surgical precision when necessary, because you have to be able to know exactly what you're marking, the behavior you're marking, and getting what you want from that dog. And if somebody was like, will you teach my dog to do shock collar? Besides the fact that philosophically I won't, like, it's not what I do. Like, I'm not going to do it. Like, my friend's dentist can give Botox, but you probably shouldn't go to your dentist to get Botox. Just saying. So the precision, it's important. So, up here, people use it a lot for like invisible fences and things like that. And I truly think I'll get a lot of haters, but I probably won't, because the people who use shock collars probably don't listen to your show.
I want them to, though. Hey, shock collar people, subscribe.
Hey. But for the layman, for the regular dog owner, not the sport person, not the person training their dog to hunt, not the dog guarding anything of value, regular folks who just want to buy one at Petco and put it on their dog, which is like, I literally have notes about this, because
Petco shouldn't sell them, I feel like.
Well, like with the go F yourself,
yeah.
I was like, this is one of the things that I'm like, hey, this is a really, really technical tool. You shouldn't be selling it to anybody who walks in the door.
Yeah.
Like, it takes training to use. Like, it just bothers me. So, I think when you've worn out every single thing you can do, like, I've got friends in Napa, they have like 3 acres. Their dog can be a terror, for any delivery person, for the neighbors, things like that. Okay. So, instead of going, we should have an electronic fence, or we should shock collar train him, it's like, you should build him a pen. You should build him a dog run where he has plenty of space. He's safe. He's outside. He can come inside. He can enjoy his life, and he doesn't have to worry about guarding the entire property, because it's not like his funnest thing to do. He would probably just lay in the sun and be happy doing that. So why? And it just triggers his own craziness, because he's a crazy cattle dog. And so, like, try to do everything you can before you get there. So, yeah. And realizing sometimes that, like, your expectation of your dog is completely unrealistic. Like, when people are like, well, I just wanted a dog that I could ski with. It's like, who the fuck skis with their dog? No one. I've never, like,
Susie
Eskimos,
Chapstick does.
No one. Oh, Susie Chapstick. She'd have like an Afghan hound.
Yes.
In a snowsuit. And she'd be awesome. That's a hypoallergenic dog. That's another, like, go F yourself with your hypoallergenic dogs. But I would wear out everything possible you can in training, which is going to be costly. And that's another reason people want to do it. If I say it's probably going to cost you $5,000 to train your dog, and you're always going to have to do it, versus you can buy a shock collar for $300 and just keep popping them, and you'll get some results, but you don't really know what the long term is on that. People just want that. They want that immediate, because nothing works faster than negative reinforcement.
Is it just vibrating?
No.
It's shocking, though.
No, some shock. So some will say, like, so a lot of them have like a beep, a vibrate, and a stim. And the vibrate, true, is less harmful, but it's still aversive. Like, it's something, it stops your dog from doing something because they don't like it, right? But if your dog is already like, I don't care about your vibration, you're already going to have to go to shock.
Right.
Like, if you know your dog's going to go beep, beep, and be like, I laugh at your beep, beep. And like, you're going to have to go to shock. You're going to have to start at like shock really low. And you don't know as an owner what's really low for your dog and what's too much for your dog. My friends had this shock collar, and I put it on my hand. I said, just hit it right now for what it's at. Oh my God. It almost knocked me on the ground.
Oh
and I
my
was like,
God.
you are putting this on a 30-pound dog. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's really painful. That's super painful. And so you've got to like know what you're doing. And so, yes, shock collars are very popular. A bunch of people are using them that have no business. It's going to create dogs who are going to bite us. That's kind of like the long end and short of it. That's just the short of it.
I hate that. I don't like that at all.
I know. So try to find a qualified trainer in your area that does this. I just met a gal here in Santa Rosa. She does it, and she's legit. And if I ever need something, if I ever have a dog whose life depends on it, I will call her.
I had forgotten about that pet corrector spray that just the compressed air, because we had that.
Yeah.
I forget why we ever used it, but the couple times that we did, it's like, what now? Is that aversive?
Yeah,
I guess that's aversive. Yeah, but it's not painful.
Right.
It's just
like
yeah. It just
it's like your seatbelt warning beep in your car. That's aversive, and you put your seatbelt on, and the aversion. I mean, like you stop hearing it.
Oh, I think we got it because when someone would come to the door,
she was barking.
She was barking. Yeah, and I think it just made her go, "What?" It kind of like instantly like distracted her.
Yeah, and that's the idea. And it's not like not at her, and it's not on her.
Right. No,
and
you just do it in the room. It's just a sound.
And then she looks at you and you're like, good girl. And you give her a cookie and she's like, I'm so confused by what's happening. I don't even know what just happened. Yeah.
Okay. And then last question. Amanda Rose says, what do you think about the alpha model versus positive reinforcement? And what would be your recommendation for dogs with separation anxiety?
So much.
I know. It's a couple different questions.
I think the whole alpha dominance thing has pretty much been debunked for all intents and purposes, like in the scientific dog training community. It's just not. It was popular theory based on some faulty information and observations, and it just doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. A lot of the wolf studies early on were wolves in captivity, and they were wolves that weren't in their own family group. So they didn't act like natural wolves act. So it was like Big Brother. It's like, that's not how families act. That's weird. So a lot of that was just bad information. And so bad in, bad out. I think a much more of the school of thought that positive reinforcement, certainly in child rearing, in our own behavior and learning theory, just is a better way to go. You want to be set up to succeed. You want to be rewarded for the things that you do right. So you're going to be more likely to do them again. And that's just a nice way to live. I just like to live in that world. Right. But I know that sometimes like a cookie's not going to fix stuff. Like, I'm not one of those people who like never say no to your dog. I'm like, whoa, yeah, totally say no, because there's super inappropriate behavior sometimes that has to be corrected. But don't only correct your dog. You have to give them language. You have to give them expectations. You have to give them an opportunity to do the right thing before you correct them for not making that choice. Then you can correct them, discipline them, do whatever you're going to do with them, and set them up for success again. So I don't, and sometimes, your dog isn't going to leave a squirrel for a cookie. It's just not a fair trade. And so that's when it starts to get complicated. But you got to there's a lot of little steps that you can get to before you go off the deep end. So I just think of it like there's a thing called the humane hierarchy. And if anyone's interested, Google that. And it talks about dog training and following the humane hierarchy. So you're going off every exit, trying to not get to you don't want to jump to the last exit, which would be something, inhumane. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. And what was the other
separation anxiety?
Yeah, that's a new thing. Because COVID has made a bunch of wacko dogs. It's hard. It's so hard. These little beasts. We've created a whole generation of super messed up dogs that people just dumped. There's tons of fear and emotion and frustration on them during COVID. And And then we all go back to work, or we all semi go back to work. And then the dogs are like, wait, what? You guys didn't train me or socialize me at all. Like nobody came over in 2 years and now I hate people. It's like, well, yeah. So a lot of that, separation anxiety. So again, that's another thing. There's just so many avenues to go down. So there's obviously like pharmaceutical avenue, but you know, I'm kind of in that place where I don't want to stick a pill on it, right? I don't want to be that Western medicine person. So
what is the pill they give them? Prozac?
They can do Prozac. They can do Zoloft. They can do a bunch of different things, right? So you can just medicate it. Usually it's like 6 weeks to see if it makes a change. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. So, but that's a good place. That's a good thing to do. I've recommended it before because sometimes we can't even train until we like clear that crazy fog out of their head. And that you just kind of got to get them on drugs. So you can be like, can you hear me? And they're like, I can hear you now. Before you were like a screaming demon and now I can hear you. So it can be really helpful. I also work with a holistic vet up here in Napa, and she does a lot of Chinese herbs and holistic stuff, acupuncture for separation anxiety. And she's finding tons of success with Chinese herbs, not so much Western herbs like valerian root and kava kava and this stuff like that we, you know, normally use. But some of these Chinese herbs. So you got to go to a real holistic doctor to get it. In LA, that's Richard Palmquist. He's the king of all holistic vets he's at Centinela Pet Hospital, kind of near the airport. But he's great. I used to go to him with Rufus. And so there's Chinese herbs, there's acupuncture, there's canine massage. Ooh, did I tell you I'm getting my canine massage certificate?
No. Look at you.
Yes, I am. I'm going attending the Ojai Animal Massage School.
Oh, nice. Ojai is so pretty.
I know, right? So I'm finishing that up in May because Chappie I did a lot of massage with him. He had a masseuse that used to come to the house every week, and it really helped him in his last months. He really loved it. So I love it, and I'm going to do that. So and then I'm doing this other thing with Texas. It's called the Halo, and it literally looks like a little halo, and it attaches to like a little Velcro thing on the back. And it's by this company called Assisi Health, like St. Francis of Assisi. And it's targeted electromagnetic pulse therapy. And so you push the little button and it goes 15 minutes twice a day, and it shoots not real, like doesn't like electrocute them, but it puts like targeted magnetic pulses to their brain, and it like reconfigures the thing that makes them anxious. You do it for 4 weeks.
Is this like transcranial magnetic stimulation for dogs? Do you know what that is?
Maybe.
That is like,
that's
so for people with drug resistant depression, it's like it's a thing they do with people with like, you have to have tried a series of different antidepressants and they don't work. And it's like incredibly expensive, but they put this thing on your head. I think maybe it's MRI guided, and like they kind of magnetically pulse different areas of your brain like every day for a number of weeks. It sounds similar.
Yeah. These things are like not that expensive. They're probably $200. And I would say I noticed total improvement in Texas. Texas got reared anxiety after Chappie died. And all of a sudden he just started howling, and he was like the quietest dog, and he was just like, ooh, all day long. And it was the saddest thing in the world. And then I had to bring him to work with me every day. And then I'd leave my office and he'd cry. Like it was awful. And so I started doing that with him here when I got to Napa, and I did it for a month. And then I kind of dropped off, and I had to find a place to live, and life happens and whatever. And so like I put it on him today for 15 minutes, and I'll put it on just every once in a while, but like there's definite lasting effects. So I'm totally into that. So check that out.
See, I thought you were going to say crate. I thought the crate was going to be the answer for separation anxiety.
Not necessarily. Sometimes that makes everything worse.
Oh, wow.
So it really depends. Like some dogs, the confinement makes things worse, and then they freak out and they hurt themselves in the crate. So it really depends on the severity, and if it is separation anxiety, if it's just protest and not really anxiety at all. You know, it's hard to say, but it can get complicated. So yeah, don't coddle it. Try to do other stuff, exercise your dog, walk them a lot, and engage them, take them to an obedience class. Like anything you can do to like stimulate their brain is good. But like those are some things you want to look at maybe from a treatment standpoint.
Laura, it's been so nice having you on the show. Before we go, do you have a hey, go fuck yourself?
I do have a hey, go fuck yourself. It's so funny because I've been trying like not to cuss lately. So I'm like, hey, go F yourself. So a hey, go fuck yourself is people, I'm going to say people who are selling dogs as hypoallergenic. I'm not going to say fuck yourself people who think they have bought hypoallergenic dogs because they've already been fucked. But like, there's no such thing as a hypoallergenic dog. There's not. There's scientifically not. There are dogs that maybe trigger your allergies less because they have hair versus fur, but they still have dander. They still have oils. They still have like canine DNA, right? So it's still going to bug you. So it just drives me crazy every time I bump into a poodle person and they're like, it's hypoallergenic because our kids have allergies. And I was like, that's just great. So Afghan hounds would be like one we talked about earlier. They're considered hypoallergenic, but because they just make less gunk. And you would never think that because you're thinking these curly haired dogs and these dogs had non-shedding dogs. Yorkies are another one. Poodles are not. Poodles are terrible. There's like more poodle funk on a poodle than there is on a yellow lab. They just shed more. But then, so there's no such thing. And it drives me crazy. I'm sick of it.
That's interesting. For someone to know like which dogs trigger them, is it a matter of just spending time with the dog, or is it like generally an Afghan hound will trigger your allergies less?
No, they've literally done skin scrapes on dogs. And so they're looking for this canine, whatever they call it scientifically, that you're allergic to, this thing that
so it's
that triggers
specific.
your allergy. Yeah. So they're testing all these dog breeds for this specific thing. And they're telling you who's got more of it and who doesn't have more of it. Also, if you have carpets in your house, you're going to have more of it's going to stick around.
Yeah.
If you have HEPA filters and hardwood floors and you bathe your dog a lot and you wash their blankets and you have dog allergies, all these things are going to help you. But like, if you're allergic to dogs, and people are like, oh, I just grew out of it, I'm not allergic anymore. It's like, no, you just got comfortable with how stuffed up you are. or you're taking, Zyrtec every day or something like that. And that's how you manage it. And that's fine. But there's no such thing. There's just not. And so these assholes that are like preying on these people who have a child who really wants a dog, who's got allergies, and then they sell them this $3,000 dog and the kid still has allergies. It's just bogus. And I'm not down with those people who say they sell hypoallergenic dogs because they don't.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Thank you. Laura, so lovely to catch up with you. Tell everyone so they're going to look up Family Paws. They're going to look up something else.
I'll give you, I need to give you exactly what that is.
No, you don't need to. They can just Google Family Paws. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like Family Paws Parent Education. And I look like a fool because I don't know the name of it and I'm certified. So.
You can just email it to me and then I'll put it in the episode summary.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So yeah, Family Paws Pet Education, super important. To just keep your dog safe and keep your kids aware. Makes good pet owners in the future. So check that out.
And follow you on your social media, right?
It's really all I do. Laura L. London. You're just going to find super cute pictures of puppies and dogs. And I'm not going to, I don't give training tips. Because everybody does. So I'm just trying to keep it light and keep it happy and, show you the dogs that I get to play with every day.
Yeah, I love it. I feel these dogs go on adventures with you. They go to stores. They go to
wine tasting. We took maple wine tasting. It was really good. She liked it a lot. So.
Thank you so much. Listeners, if you'd like what you're hearing, and even if you don't, please make sure that you are subscribed, leave us a nice review, rate us 5 stars, but the rating and the review helps the show so much. So please do that. And I recently discovered that you can also rate us on Spotify, or I think probably wherever you listen, there's now a way to rate. So go ahead and rate the show 5 stars. If they offer 6 stars, whatever the most is, tell your friends. Make sure you're listening to my other podcasts, Upworthy Weekly and Childish, and follow me on social media at Allison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you again. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show?